Hey, good morning. I'm David Mcgard on Property Value. We're going to talk about headline commercial real estate news focused on South Florida. Got a couple guests with me, my co-host, my managing director. Let me bring them up right now. Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Good morning.
Everyone talking to their microphone. So let's say it's our first new work day in 2022. Welcome. It's our first podcast together and anytime. Christian here. It's his first day at work. Brand new person in commercial real estate. Welcome to have him on the new team. To my right is our managing director, Ralph Pena, 30-year veteran, second generation appraiser, 3 years with the company. Ralph, say hello, introduce yourself, or say a couple words.
Morning, everyone. Looking forward to 2022 and really excited to be part of the podcast.
Cool. So my name is David Mcgard. I've been with Collier's Valuation Advisory Services here in the Miami office for 6 years now. Been in commercial real estate for 8 years. I'm also a professor at Florida International University, teaching undergraduate appraisal class for their business school. That's where I met Christian. Also, I have a graduate level hospitality course in hotel investment focused on it's investment, real estate investment analysis focused on hotels. That's my background. And then our newest guy in the office, Christian, it's literally his first day. We pulled him in here at 8 a.m. He drove, I don't know how long it took him to drive here, about an hour. Christian, why don't you introduce yourself?
Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Christian Lalong. As David has mentioned, I'm in Florida International University, and I met him in the real estate appraisal course that I took. Just a little bit of background about myself. I'm studying business management over at Florida International University, and I've taken a really big aspiration and kind of love for the appraisal process and seeing what I was learning in the course. And that's when I reached out to David and started working here.
Yeah, man, it was cool. We were looking for Ralph got his own trainee assistant a couple months ago. He's been crushing it, been doing a great job. Their revenue numbers have skyrocketed. I'm sitting here beside him, watching him. And, we said, I got to get my own assistant. I've got to, up my level up, I guess they say. And we interviewed a couple of fellas, and then we reached out within the class, and Christian put his hand up, and we brought him in and basically hired him on the first interview. And this is, I think, his second time to the office and right into the podcast with us. And he hasn't even turned on his new computer yet in the office. And he's right on the air. But, this is how we're going to roll in 2022. We're going to be experimenting. We're going to market ourselves. We're going to be on the internet. We're going to do a lot of great work here in South Florida. And hopefully it's going to be a fantastic year with our new team.
Yeah, man, looking forward to having Christian on board of the team. Little by little, we're growing the South Florida office, and really excited to have him on board. Not quite often do we hire somebody right on the spot on day one. So really looking forward to having him on the team.
Make sure things in your face so I can hear you.
Yeah, man. Day one.
That's right. Getting the bugs out. All right, so what we're going to do right now, since we don't really have a game plan or a real good format because we're going to learn as we go, we're going to go through some commercial real estate news through a couple different vendors, CoStar, South Florida Business Journal, BizNow, Miami Herald, and, we read a couple articles or a couple headlines and dive in to see what's going on in our backyard in South Florida. The guys can comment. and we'll go from there. And hopefully we find some good information in here. So I got the South Florida Business Journal up. Let me bring us over to here. There we go. Nice, beautiful view of South Beach right there. Look at that blue water. Anyways, so South Florida Business Journal. The headline is Miami Beach extends deadline for Lincoln Road development bids. This came out January 3rd, 48 minutes ago. Developers interested in building Class A office space on sites near Lincoln Road have a little more time to submit their proposals. And this is a big talk. I mean, me and Ralph were just talking to a lender out of New York who was asked, had put us on a call and was asking us about what's going on with Collins Avenue with retail, which used to be the retail corridor in Miami Beach. What's going on with Lincoln? A lot of stuff's moving over to Sunset Harbor now. I just drove down Alton Boulevard to drop off my son at Miami Beach High, and that avenue, I feel like that's really where Collins Avenue is pivoting, is more to Alton. But here we go with Lincoln Road. It says Miami Beach administrators extend the deadline for proposals for 3 city-owned parking lots and the 17th Street garage until January 12th. The deadline was extended due to requests from potential bidders for more time. City manager explained in a memo to the mayor, 6 commissioners. The deadline has been extended once, but I still don't winning bids in case of parking lot. Miami Beach officials are eager to lease out the 3 lots and parking garage to office developers. So I guess this is Ralph, you can chime in if you understand this more. It seems like they're making it more easy for office developers to come along Miami Beach,
which will completely change the landscape of Lincoln Road if you start doing a lot more office developments in that corridor.
I mean, yeah, there's like, as you know, we just did a development. We just appraised a property over in Sunset Harbor, which is going to be a new super nice Class A mixed use office or residential on top, office in the middle with and retail on the bottom. But yeah, along Lincoln Road is more older office buildings, and they're not kind of on Lincoln Road. They're a little bit off skirts of Lincoln Road, 1680, 1681 Meridian. Second generation, probably built in 1970s, 1980s, I would imagine. Let's see what this says. It's 3 city-owned parking lots. I guess 86 space parking, street Lennox. I don't know really what else. Proposals from developers can include rent offered to the city as well as the number of parking spaces that developers will provide to the public. So developers must submit their bids via, I don't really understand. Integra Development is assisting Starlight in the construction of a 144,000 approximately square foot office building, 2340 Collins Avenue, not the part of the RFP. The new building, which will almost completed, will serve as a new headquarters for Starwood, a global investment company that oversees $100 billion in assets. Yeah, that's a beautiful building. Class A. They were moving from 1601 Washington Ave over to their new headquarters. That is probably will be the best office building on Miami Beach. Do you?
No doubt. Yeah.
Until they build this new one over in Sunset Harbor, but yeah, the new Starwood headquarters is going to be it's really nice and it's almost finished. Going forward, let's see what else we got in the news. It says developers nab construction funding for student housing near FIU. Well, this goes hand in hand with Christian and Ralph. I believe we're all FIU alum here.
That's correct.
Well, Christian's almost FIU alum, right?
Almost in May.
May you're graduating?
Mm-hmm.
What's your degree under?
Business management. So business degree, bachelor's. So
nice. And Ralph?
I was a history major, completely off the real estate side, but
that's right, history. Ralph, you need to come up with some history of appraising, history of appraisal world industry. You got to bring that to the table for us. And Ralph's also the educational leg of Appraisal Institute this year.
The local chapter, but I'm the new education chair for the AI chapter for 2022,
which is very exciting because we want to try to incorporate some of the curriculum of Appraisal Institute into the FIU appraisal class, which Christian just took. All right, so let's see what this says. It says developers nab construction funding for student housing near FIU. I guess that's great because it sounds like the student base is expanding, which is only going to generate more revenue for the university and only shows that how FIU is so robust in our area. I believe FIU is the biggest non-private university in America. Am I right with that?
I'm not sure.
One day we'll say, Christian, look that up for us.
Yeah. If anything, I think it might be more Florida State, because I think Florida State has a bigger campus than
Does it?
FIU.
See, we don't know yet, but we'll find that out. I do know that FIU is maybe it's the biggest research university in the nation. Interesting. Okay, it says New York-based developer obtained a $127 million construction loan to build 22-story student housing tower just north of Florida International University's main campus in Sweetwater. AIG Asset Management granted the mortgage to K2 Sweetwater. It covers 2.2 acres at 10712 and 10726 Southwest 6th Street. The developer assembled the property in deals of $20 million in 2019 and $5.2 million in 2020. 61 residential units that will be demolished to make way for the project. Oh, so I wonder what year those 61
over time. I mean, I'm very familiar with it. What they've done is they've come in and bought out various duplexes, single family residences along that corridor. And they're basically redeveloping the whole, eliminating the neighborhood and putting student housings, and it's changing the complete landscape of that whole corridor. What they've done along 7th Street, it's going to change dramatically for the next couple of years.
And it seems like they bought the older properties in 2019, 2020.
Yeah.
So I wonder if those homeowners got a pretty good price, because that was pre-COVID,
before
which is interesting, right? Because you think like a lot of students working remotely, working online, a lot of teachers, not wanting to get vaccinated or not wanting to put themselves in exposure to students teaching, in class. So I wonder, that's interesting. I wonder if this company would still had moved forward with knowing what happened with COVID, and I wonder if that put any kind of pivot in their investment forecast or what they were doing, because no one forecasted COVID into their DCFs.
Yeah, no. Probably. I mean, at the end of the day, these guys, there's very limited student housing in FIU. So let's start with that. So there's a demand for it. FIU is an international hub. You're going to get people from all over the world. Yes, COVID put a damper on it. In my opinion, COVID probably delayed the development, which is probably why you're seeing it now. But outside of that, there's always going to be a demand for student housing.
Yeah, it says FIU has a growing enrollment, but not enough student housing on campus for all of its students. So there's strong demand for apartments within walking distance of campus. How far did you live from campus?
So I live about 25 minutes away from campus. So it's not that bad. But when I talked to a lot of international students and I was asking them, for example, I knew this German international student that was staying, and they were telling me that a lot of people want to come to FIU, but as the article mentions, there's just not enough housing. And then if they want to stay, then they will have to rent out an Airbnb, and they will have to stay there for months on end, and then it's going to be at a higher cost. When I used to work in a previous employment, I remember that there was actually a group of Chinese international students that were all staying in an Airbnb, and this was about 15 kids, 15 freshmen, and they were all just staying in an Airbnb right next to the campus. So it makes a lot of sense that FIU is looking at this problem and trying to go ahead and address it, especially more so that, if I'm not mistaken, about a few months ago, they announced that they were going to expand the architect program in the architect building as well.
Man, I wonder who owned that Airbnb. Someone made a fortune, Like, I don't even think you can buy those. Well, actually, probably someone paid a lot for a regular multifamily, turned it into Airbnb, and and triple down on it. I mean,
especially because it was, if I'm not mistaken, it was literally less than a minute away on campus. It was on one of the back roads, the homes that are there on the back roads by the park.
wherever
That's
it
where
was, it's a great
Yeah.
investment. I mean, if you got that
Mhm.
many people with this demand of students that need housing and the prices that Airbnb gets, and that's what you're offering college, you're not offering a beautiful view on the beach or a secluded lake or the mountains where most Airbnbs are located. You're just giving it, a brand new college student a room. Wow, that's awesome. Ralph, what do you got? You got something from the Miami Herald? You're gonna.
I have an interesting one here that came out in January 2nd. It's the headline read, Miami female entrepreneur gives people option to pull together to invest in commercial real estate. Dave, I'm pretty sure you're familiar with crowdfunding. You want to give the audience a little bit of
Yeah, crowdfunding. Grant Cardone is supposedly one of the biggest ones in the nation with his crowdfunding. Cardone Capital. Basically, what's going on is with people who have a lot of attention or a lot of followers online are able to work with the SEC and get different kinds of funds allocated, and you have to be accredited investors. I think you have to make over $250,000 a year. You have to have a X amount liquidated and to come into these funds, and they're able to market to their online community, and they've been able to just secure tons and tons of money. There's a new fund that's opened up off of the Bigger Pockets podcast where Brandon Turner, it's called Open Door Capital, and they've been majority investing in mobile home parks. I think they're venturing into multifamily now, but I mean, he went from owning 30 units personally to partnering up, leveraging his online community, starting a fund, and I believe they're like around 2,000 units now.
Yeah.
I mean, it just hockey sticked straight up, and but that's all from crowdfunding. I mean, crowdfunding really, it's kind of like having an asset manager, and you secure the deal, and you get a fees for doing that, and then you crowdfund the equity portion, and your other partner is the bank, the lender, or the institutional, whoever you're getting your majority of your debt from. Anyways, that's kind of my take on crowdfunding.
Yeah, I mean, this is an interesting article because there's a company called School of Wales, which is co-founded by Andrea Peterson.
Speak into that microphone.
And
there you go.
What they've done is they co-founded with Daniel Pena Giraldi. They basically partnered up to basically establish a crowdfunding called School of Wales, which accepts investors with a little as $500 to place in a blind investment fund supported by a real estate project, with the average investment is $3,000.
So they're doing non-accredited investors, which is a little bit harder of a fund, and it takes more money to get from the SEC. Do they have did they name the kind of fund it is or whatever?
Not that I'm aware of, but they did manage to get approved up to $50 million, which was interesting because they acquired the Walgreens drugstore, the historic one in downtown Miami.
Where's it located?
Located. Good question.
Well, downtown Miami, is that like around Flagler Street?
Yeah, I believe so.
And is that Walgreens actually occupied right now and running?
No, they're actually right now renovating.
Are they repositioning the property, or is it going to be a Walgreens still? Or
no, I don't think so.
So they crowdfunded the equity portion of the deal and allocated the funds to buy the downtown Walgreens property.
Right.
And it doesn't say what they're going to.
No, it doesn't say much here.
I mean, I would imagine they're going to turn it into office. No, I mean, what
makes sense? What
retail vendor would go into such a big space right now? I mean, the news that we've read lately is 900 CVS stores closing across the nation. So, nothing off of the top of my head I think of would fill that space.
Yeah, their game plan is they're going to keep the Walgreens open to the end of March, and
So it is open.
correct, but they are going to then try to convert it to a speakeasy, food hall, office space, which would be great for that location.
Yeah, I agree. I think a food hall in that downtown area, because the downtown area is not so enjoyable along the sidewalks. So if you could actually, with all the, office buildings in Brickell Ave where we are right now, and then all the new stuff going on downtown, if you can walk somewhere, which is all walkability is great, and walk inside a mall, a food mall to eat, I think that would work. I mean, if you go into Whole Foods right now in downtown, it's packed.
Yeah.
And Whole Foods is basically kind of like a food hall. I mean, it's got the buffet, but then if you go in there, you can actually get individual, sandwiches made, pizza made, what have you. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. The food hall in downtown. I mean, that's a hard model too. And they did that at the Citadel along Northeast Second Ave. They've tried it in the Design District. They've tried it one right on the outskirts of on Lincoln Road. And do you know any? I think there's another one somewhere that I'm not mentioning.
Did you mention? You mentioned the one that we appraised a long time ago.
Citadel.
The Citadel, yeah.
Yeah, we worked on that one from ground up.
Yeah.
Something that I found interesting that Ralph mentioned was that they're also making a speakeasy in the back. And I know that at least, people my age and, talking to people in FIU, speakeasies are really, really popular right now. For example, there's one actually in Brittle City Place. There's a speakeasy if you go to the back. It's a Asian fusion restaurant there. I think it's called Koi, if I'm not mistaken. And if you go to the front, you just see it as kind of this regular little cafe. But then if you go to the back, it's like this huge restaurant bar. And I know at least when I've been talking with my friends or just interacting with people in class, they'll be like, oh, you want to go down to X and Y speakeasy and just, hang out. So the fact that they're making a food hall and then in the back is going to as well be a speakeasy, I feel like that's just going to make that property have a lot more income and a lot more and make it a lot more valuable over time.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you make tons of money off of alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
Your percentage in food is low, but your percentage in alcohol is grand. And I would think too, as a destination place for, so let's think a food hall downtown, you have all that traffic during the day. And then if you want to, and then I'm sure that the food hall at night would slow down, but then to keep that to have something to drive to that place again, then you have the speakeasy, more of the place at night. And as you said, like, students, whether you're going to FIU or University of Miami or even Miami-Dade Community College downtown, you could go there and get a bite to eat in the food hall. And then if the date goes well, you can go back and have a drink or a cocktail or something like that. I don't know. I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
All right. Great article there, Ralph Pena. Let's see what else we got. Let's jump over to Biz Now and see what's going on. It says George and Paul Pierre. I just mashed that up. George and Paul Perez on Florida Rise, how to take over a hot neighborhood. The related group is everywhere. What building features do owners need to attract today's tenants? What do you guys think? I mean, this is kind of a loaded, this could be, I don't know what that is. It's either multifamily or it's an office building. And what kind of features do you guys think that, places need to, how they attract, whether it's going to be tenants or, multifamily tenants, like amenities? What do we, this is the first paragraph. It says, South Florida office market has not only been showing signs of resilience since the early days of the pandemic, but investments have climbed to all-time high since the beginning of the year. Transactions for office space in the Miami area have totaled $1.3 billion. It's the highest amount within the last 5 years. That's kind of like a loaded paragraph, if you ask me.
Yeah,
I mean, like,
agree.
right? Because maybe these guys are just getting such a good deal on this office space because it's speculative what's going to happen in the future, that it's making the office demand for sales rise. But Ralph, what do you think? What kind of amenities does an office building need nowadays?
I mean, I think one of the big amenities that some of these office spaces need is, let's start with the gym. I mean, it's a lot of these office buildings, especially the older ones, don't have them. If you have a nice gym where somebody can come work out, take a shower, come right into the office and work, I think that'd be a good amenity. Another one that I was thinking about too is they have, a lot of people now are big into bringing their pets to work, their dogs. So if you create an amenity where you have the ability to bring your pet to your dog into the office and maybe have like any kind of like grooming facilities or spot where you can leave your pet if you go out to lunch.
I guess, but I don't really care about a pet coming to my office building.
Well, that's you.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. That's my opinion. I mean, I love pets.
I know that's a big thing.
I love
in the
animals.
West Coast.
I grew up on a farm, but
Well,
it's enough having the dogs in the
be
condo buildings to have to come to work, and then
you'd be surprised, man. How many?
Could you
people,
imagine if there was a dog barking in the next office
dude,
beside us and we couldn't?
I get it, but you'd be surprised how many people are big into bringing their pets to work. I mean, I'm not one for it, but you'd be surprised.
Every person. I mean, it seems like every condo unit or apartment place now has a pet.
Something
I
that
think
I was going to say that, in the second paragraph, there was a question that was asked. It's how are employers going to, or how do offices bring their employees back? That's actually a really big question that's happening a lot in the business management space, is how are employers going to come back, bring their employees back from remote offices? And I think something that office buildings and office developers should look at is kind of SaaS, which is this medical company. This is medical company. It's a data collection company, and something that they have for their employees is kind of a daycare for their children. They have a gym, like Ralph mentioned, and as well they have actually kind of what they will call rest zones. So kind of if you ever seen The Intern by it's a movie about Google's internship. I think the movie is just literally called The Internship with Owen Wilson. There they show that Google has this rest area where employees can go and kind of decompress. It'll be like, maybe a hammock or something like that. And I think if office buildings offer those amenities for their employees or for their employers, for the tenants, and then go to let's say it's, our office, and they're like, oh, well, if your employees need to decompress or anything, we have these already set up. Or if you have an employee that needs a daycare for their child, we already have it all set up. So I think that something like that might attract tenants.
Yeah, daycare is a big one.
Mm-hmm.
Big amenity. That's a good one because if you're a single parent or in the case where two working parents and you need to stay late in the office and you have a daycare right there on site, that's huge.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I agree. I think those are the two best ones. I mean, just thinking about it, I mean, when you talk about having a gym, that's everyone's talking about mental health nowadays, physical health. The COVID really beat up on obese people, so I think that a gym should be in every office building. I mean, it should just be offered and open 24 hours and allowed, because that if now I understand taking a siesta after lunch would be nice.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Whether you call it a nap or decompress, you woke generation.
In our days, we call it a nap.
Europe's been doing it forever, right? So it's probably a great idea, and we all get tired. I was tired yesterday after eating a fantastic burger over at Moxie's right here in Brickell City Center, or we weren't in Brickell City Center, we were at Mary Brickell, and I felt like taking a nap, but I think that the gym and the daycare are needed. I could do without the place to take a nap, even though it's progressive and it's probably a great idea. But I think you could decompress in the gym as well.
Absolutely.
Whether you're starting your day off in the gym, which I prefer, or you're ending your day in the gym, to more or less decompress. More or less, people nowadays are getting off work and they go to a bar or something
Mhm.
like that, so I think hitting up the gym would help your mental, health and your physical health as well. And daycare just helps everyone. I mean,
Absolutely.
that's what I think Ralph, I'm trying to have a baby, and Ralph has an 8-year-old, and I just think, if you don't have your mother or your father or your parent-in-laws in your neighborhood, it's hard.
It is.
Because then you're picking who's got to have who's going to have. Are you doing one person working? Most majority of people nowadays have the mother and the father working if they're both still in the house and not divorced. And so if you have a kid, then it goes, so who gets to keep their career?
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to be the breadwinner? And I think that's something that Ralph's deals with.
Well, I could tell you from the kids' perspective, because that's how it was in my household. It was my mom and dad were both working. My dad was working at the bank. My mom was working as well in the bank during that time. And Bank of America, believe it or not, actually during that time had kind of a daycare system that if my dad needed, they could just drop me and they didn't have to worry about me. But I remember that, thank God I had my grandma. She was able to pick me up in and out of daycare. But I know, some kids that's not how it was. They would have to stay until 6 or 7 o'clock when their parents come out. And I think of a lot of these office buildings that are looking for tenants, look at what Microsoft is doing, Google, SaaS, with all these campus, and then just kind of try to bring those amenities back into their buildings. They would notice a huge increase in demand and interest in their properties.
But I think those, and I could be wrong, but I believe that those employees that work in those such companies that you just mentioned are working much longer than the normal office building, the normal office worker.
Good point. Yeah.
From 9 to 5.
Rather than just clock in, clock out, 9 to 5. I'm out of here. No amenity kind of building to a career-driven, progressive, moving the needle technology company.
Well, for us, for example, we're in the commercial real estate industry, right? We don't have a 9 to 5. So those kind of amenities would be great if you're in the brokerage, if you're an attorney, it's just a matter of, what type of tenant you're trying to cater to, right? But if you're catering to the professional who does not clock in, clock out at 9 to 5, yeah, absolutely. Those amenities are huge.
I would love to see them. I think that they're putting in a gym in our building right here, right?
Yeah.
So hopefully it's a big gym.
Yeah. And now the key is with these gyms, though. Some of these places, they'll put the gym in, but then they'll charge you a little extra. The minute you start going out that route, then it defeats the purpose of having it because people aren't going to pay it.
Well, it depends on how competitive it is compared to like Equinox or any of these other, public gyms that you can attend to right around here. And, Orange Theory, where you go to, I don't know where you go to. I have a gym in our condo building, but you don't always have time. I didn't get to go to the gym this morning because I had to take my son to school and drop him off at high school. But, it would be nice to have that option. And if it's a small denomination, I think it's still a huge benefit to have a gym or daycare, what have you, amenities in your office building.
Well, to address Ralph's concern, the way FIU does. So, for example, I go to a small local gym by me at Porky's. I don't know. I remember
Porky's been around since I was in high school.
So I go to the
great name for it. Yeah. It sounds like a barbecue place, but it's a great name for it.
Yeah, it's funny because there's a barbecue place now in that same plaza that they just built.
I can't believe Porky's is still around.
Yeah, it's the last one, I believe. Johnny is the owner now. Very nice guy, and that's the one that I go to. It's literally like 2 minutes away from my house, but I'm still paying for the gym at FIU because of my tuition. So I feel like if there's just kind of a flat rate fee that kind of just addresses everything
that fee
at once.
is built into your tuition, right?
Yeah. So I pay for example, like some amenities that I'm not using right now is like, for example, the gym or the, I think they as well have like kind of counselor sessions for like, for kids that, are really stressed out. Like, for example, I don't use that, but I'm still paying for it. So I think if there's just kind of like a flat fee where it's like, this is the price, and you get everything included, for example, even if it's parking space, if you're just using 3 out of the 5 amenities, then I feel like, somebody might be like, okay, it's worth it. And then if I want to use the gym, I can.
Right. But what I was alluding to it, because I've seen it in other offices, especially when I was living in Dallas, where if there's a gym in the building, you as a tenant, the employees had to pay, I think it was like $20 a month. That, if you start going that route, it defeats the purpose. I firmly believe if you're going to offer a gym amenity and you're going to offer the prices, it should be baked into the lease, and it should be available 24/7, all employees.
That sounds better.
Not charge the individual employee to use the facility.
Yeah, I guess it depends on, what the office leases are,
right?
Where it's located. Are you right in the downtown financial district, or I don't know. Yeah, it's all good. I think just getting people to go to the gym or having it as providing an offer, an amenity like that, whether it's at the university or where you work, would be great.
Yeah.
With so many obese people in America, that's one of our biggest problems, right? Obesity in America. You would think by now, 2022, there would be a gym everywhere, and it would be at a price where it's affordable.
Yeah. The problem is people aren't, even if they were there, people aren't using them. How do you get people in there? That's another topic.
Yeah.
Talking about topics, let's read another one. South Florida commercial real estate leaders on what's to come in 2022. The past 2 years have been hectic, to say the least, with the coronavirus pandemic upending lives in markets around the globe. Among the regions that fared better than others is South Florida, which emerged relatively unscathed. Regional commercial real estate experts, that's us, are now looking ahead to 2022, and they spoke with BizNow regarding what's on tap for the new year. These comments have been lightly edited for style and clarity. Let's see what they say. Let's see what Moish Mana. We do a lot of work with Mana. Moish is saying the Flagler district is going through a renaissance, rising as an international hub for innovation and access point between the Americas. We're going to see the need for built-to-suite, high-tech office spaces in downtown Miami being met with completion of Nikola Tesla Innovation Hub. The Flagler district is only neighborhood fit to embrace the emerging technologies that are here to stay in the integrated and central ecosystem. At the same time, Wynwood is cementing itself as Miami's true arts and entertainment district. Next year, the master plan we created with Sidewalk Labs will come to find life in reopening the improved Manor Wynwood, among other revitalization plans. Yes, Manor is always pushing the innovation. And I think they just hosted the big cryptocurrency conference here in Wynwood. And I think that's going to be an annual event kind of on the coattails of Art Basel. Let's see who else said something. Why don't you read Jamie Sturgis there, CEO, Native Realty. Christian, can you read that?
Sure. Can I move
Sure.
it just a little bit?
Yep.
Okay. So, Jamie Sturgis of CEO Native Realty says, Fort Lauderdale's Flagler Village will continue to ascend with significant investments in multifamily development sites. We are closing the sale of one site in December, with 2 more scheduled to close in January and March. These will also continue to be strong demand for bar and restaurant space in the neighborhood. Everybody wants first-generation restaurant space, but it is extremely hard to find. Dry retail is doing very well too. Sistrunk Boulevard and the broader Progresso Village neighborhood are the next hot Fort Lauderdale. Areas to watch, with Fuse Group planning a large phase development and other real estate players looking to invest and develop there.
Yeah, Jamie's got his robust, strong grip on the Flagler Village in Fort Lauderdale. It's funny that I just read Mana and he's Flagler Street, and the next one we pick is Flagler Village, which they actually even compare Flagler Village to Wynwood, which is the other Mana area, right? Yeah, Jamie's a great guy. I don't know him personally. I've worked with him quite a few times in different projects.
I've met him. He's a super nice guy. I've done some work with him in the past.
Really dialed in
Really
on
dialed
the
into
retail
that area.
aspect of, and repositioning industrial into retail and office and that whole sub-market right there.
It's
needed
almost
really.
like the Wynwood of Fort Lauderdale, that little corridor, what they've done over there.
I guess. I hate when people say
I
the
get it,
Wynwood
but
of anywhere.
I know.
But yeah, that's what they claim.
It's
Let's see who else has got an opinion on 2022. Ben Mandel, co-founder and managing principal, Tricera Capital. Leaders of large companies are realizing they can go from having 3 million square foot of office space in Manhattan rents, keeps 2 million square foot in Big Apple, and now take 1 million square foot in West Palm instead, reducing their overhead by at least 15%. So if I read that again, it seems like if you're a big company in New York, you're downsizing, you can come to West Palm. And as we all know, it's a big tax break. So let's see what else he says. Even a large hedge fund like Schoenfeld Strategic Advisors, which is opening its first Miami office at the mixed-use Dorsey being developed by Related Group. Tricera and Landmark Development in Wynwood is choosing to have roughly 50,000 square foot in Manhattan, plus or minus 20,000 square foot in London, and now about 20,000 square foot in Miami. It's great that Miami is now in that trifecta where, I want office space in London, I need office space in New York, but I've got to have office space in Miami. And a lot of those big funds are coming down here as well. Plan to continue to expand. The other major international cities with smaller format offices will now act as spokes to headquarters hub in Manhattan. Here's another person who's got their hand really dialed in. This is more Tony Aurelio, co-founder and managing partner of Downtown Realty Advisors. Tony's got his name on everything that has to do with, I think, retail. And does he do industrial, or does he do?
I'm not sure.
I know if you go around Midtown, Wynwood, all design district, Tony's he is the expert of that place. He says the most compelling opportunities are investing where there's a constraint. Where it comes to office product, the sentiment was that Miami had enough to cover the market, so no one was really building it. Now there's meaningful deficiency for office space in walkable urban neighborhoods. The demand for cool and creative office space far exceeds supply in neighborhoods like Coconut Grove and Wynwood. Those two neighborhoods, along with the design district, are also capturing prime retail tenants that are leaving traditional malls. We will see that trend continue as Coconut Grove, Design District, and Wynwood are the best walkable neighborhoods, bar none. Tony Aurelio, Downtown Realty Advisors. You got anything else for us? Ralph, you got any other articles up there to read? Or
no, I'm good on my end.
Let's read Tara Blanca, founder and chairman of CEO of Blanca Commercial Real Estate. Tara's always speaking at conventions, and she's huge in single family and luxury condo world. She also has a branch of commercial as well. Says the flight to quality will continue. New and under construction projects are already leasing up, including the Plaza North Tower, Coral Gables, 40% leased. The Plaza South Tower, 39% pre-leased. One Cocoa Walk, 98% leased. The main Los Olas, Fort Lauderdale, 80% leased. 830 Brickell, 40% leased. And 360 Rosemary, 100% leased. I don't know where 360 Rosemary is. Across the board, these properties have achieved 10% to 40% premium over the weighted average rent for comparable buildings in the respective submarkets. By the year end 2022, 1.9 million square foot of new office builds will be delivering in Miami over 30% pre-leased. South Florida population has grown by an estimated 2% residents over the past 12 months. The South Florida metro area growth is projected to outpace more than twice the 2.5 national average over the next 5 years. And we know that. We've seen the statistics. Statistics say that 1,000 people are migrating to Florida every day, 1,000 people. And South Florida supposedly approximately is absorbing about 40% of that migration, which now you see office demand. We've always had residential demand, but more residential vertical demand, undersupplied for single family housing. Retail is coming back. We spoke with Aaron Breyer's industrial expert for Colliers International yesterday. She said it's crazy out there, the prices that people are paying for industrial Class A in the mid 3.5 or 3.25 to 3.5 cap rates for industrial Class A product. I mean, that's low, so everything's robust, everything's hot in South Florida. Guys, anything? Comments, concerns?
Well, Something that I find really interesting is that if we're getting 40% of those 1,000 people coming in, on top of the fact that we are having pretty low single family homes right now, I'm just really curious as to how the market is going to react to that, and as well as how, of course, with COVID and supply chain issue that we're having, is how is Florida going to handle the shortage of labor in order to build brand new homes in order to maintain that 40%.
Right. And what you're encountering down here, though, is the lack of land to develop. Because what's happening here, we're becoming, to some degree, if you look at the prices for the homes, we're getting close to LA. I mean, LA, average single family home over there is close to 700,000. And if you look at down here, how much homes have appreciated, everybody like to say, well, it's the real estate bubble. Wow. No, I don't think it's a bubble. When you got the amount of people coming in from outside, from other regions, we're not talking about investors coming in and buying these homes and flipping them. We're talking about people coming in to live here. That's completely different than what I would consider a bubble.
Well, and that's also why we get such a huge demand in multifamily, because you have families that are moving here and they don't actually know, they're migrating here, whether from, New York, California, where have you, and they don't know where they're going to move to. So they're renting. So now you're adding extra pressure on demand for renting. And as they're looking for a single family home to buy, and then the market is so frothy with the single family homes that people are going in there all cash offers, or, it's very hard to buy a single family home, which is keeping people in apartments longer than I think they probably thought of. But with the amenities being offered in these urban apartment buildings, like you're saying, daycares, pet parks, gyms, and you're located by walkability to nice restaurants, people might second think about moving out to the suburbs and even looking for single family, or, buying when it's feasible and, they're able, which might be, who knows, 12, 24 months in the future. And then with those people being in those apartment buildings, that's making those urban areas just flourish for the retail. And it's funny because, as the pandemic started, we had to, social distance. People thought, they wanted more space. The office space the office space was shrinking per person. And now it might need to be expanded because everyone needs social distancing and people aren't going to want to live in these towers anymore. And everybody wanted to have their own home. Well, the reality is that if you don't have the supply to offer people to move to the suburbs or to build with a scarcity of land here in South Florida, since we're a peninsula and surrounded by water on all three sides, I mean, you get what you get, right? And so you're either going to live in a high-rise tower, or, maybe you're going to live in Orlando, and, everyone loves Orlando.
And I agree that I don't think it's a bubble either. One of the main reasons is, like Rob said, people are buying homes to live. And especially now, the reason that I think a lot of the supply is really low when it comes to single family homes is because of the fact that to refinance, you're going to get a very low interest. And people are able to pay way more in their principal now than ever before. So I know a lot of people in Miami have just been pretty much like, well, I'm not going to sell my house. I'm just going to refinance it and then get that low interest and just pay more to my principal and then pay off my home. So I think it as well has to do with that.
Yeah, they don't want to deal with the headache, because they rather renovate their homes, renovate it, pay it down.
But then there's the flip side of the person who's owned for 5, 6, 7 years, and they're like, wow, we bought at 400,000 and it's worth 575,000, and we haven't really done anything to it, and it's just appreciated, 15, 16, 17% annually, and let's take advantage of that. And then they're stuck because, like you're saying, low interest rates, a lot of capital chasing those properties, and then they have to go rent, rising, elevating the demand for apartments again, or condos.
Exactly.
Yep.
All right, gentlemen, I think we're at like 50 minutes, almost, getting into an hour at our first podcast. I'd like to welcome Christian to the team again.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Managing Director Ralph, thanks for stepping in. Always going to love when he's here. I don't know if he'll be here every day, but it'll be great to see him. We're going to be here. Try to do it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursday mornings. Try to log on, go stream live at 8 a.m. Other than that, we'll play some clips on LinkedIn or on the YouTube channel, and try to keep you guys updated to commercial real estate headlines in South Florida. So from my crew to yours. Hope you have a great year. Put those goals out there, accomplish success, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Gentlemen, let's go to work.